It feels like it's been forever since we last took a look at this project Ducati 1198S that I bought a little while ago. So let's do a little bit of an update. So where we left off last time was that I sent the front wheel off to be straightened because it has a nice bend in the front lip. And these are not cheap wheels. These are Marcassini forged aluminum ones, so I didn't want to have to go out and buy a new one because it was multiple thousands of dollars to do that. Even a used one was like almost $1,000. So I was like, we're definitely going to take the more economical option and get this thing straightened. So it's been a while, but I finally got it back. It took almost 2 months. Not like that's a big deal because I've had a lot of other projects in the garage, such as the 4Runner and the BMW. So here it is. It is so beautiful, such a beautiful wheel. And if you spin it around, you will not be able to see where it was bent at all. So that's the point, of course. So how much did this wheel straightening cost? Well, the service itself was $200, but shipping the wheel there is $40, and then shipping it back was $40. So really, we're at it $280, call it $300 to fully restore this wheel. So I think it's still a good value, but it does set me back on the whole project cost because I wasn't expecting to do that initially. But that's how things go. But I'm happy to say that there's absolutely no damage to the actual paint finish of this wheel. So whatever method they used to straighten this wheel was pretty safe. You can actually see where the dent was right there, just because there's some discoloration on the inside, which was there before I even sent it down. It was just caused by whatever, the pothole or whatever. So the next step now is to get new tires installed on these. And I've decided to go with Michelin Power GPs. They're a 50/50 street track tire that I think would be a great fit for this bike because it will see some street use and also some track day use. In order to remove the rear wheel, you have to use one of these massive 55mm sockets. You're not going to find this locally. Make sure you buy one of these online ahead of time if you're going to pull off your rear wheel. I found this out the hard way on my Multistrada not too long ago. So this one also fits the 1198S. The tires that are currently installed are Diablo Super Corsa SPs made by Pirelli. They're a good match for this bike, but they have terrible lifespans, so I'm going to put something that lasts a bit longer, such as Michelin Power GPs. These were just released in 2020, and they have great reviews. And they're a 50/50 street track tire, and I'm really excited to get them on there. In fact, here they are. Don't those look sweet? So again, Michelin Power GPs. That is a nice looking tire. They have really deep grooves in them, so you can ride these on the street, but it is a very sticky dual compound tire that should serve this bike very, very well. And an upside is they're actually relatively inexpensive. For the 2 tires installed, I paid $380. Yeah, that's a great deal for a very, very well-reviewed tire. That's the front wheel with the new tire installed. So this is kind of putting the cart before the horse, getting new tires before I really sorted out the mechanics on the bike, but I felt like I just needed to get this out of the way. Now I'm not going to put the front wheel back on the bike quite yet because I need to adjust the placement of the forks. They're not in the right location in the clamps, so I need to adjust that, which means pulling the front fairings off and messing with things in there. So that's not going on quite yet. Aside from the front wheel repair and the new tires being installed, what I also have to share is that I've finally received all of the parts necessary to fully mechanically refresh and cosmetically refresh this bike. So let's just go through them all. So here on the left, we have 3 quarts or 3 liters of the Ducati specific coolant. It's that pink stuff that we used on the Multistrada. I picked these up from the local Ducati dealer. As you can see, they were $16 a liter, which is reasonable considering online they go all the way up to $30 plus shipping. Then we have the stuff to do the oil change here, Motul 300V 15W50. Then we have the shim kit, which I used on the Multistrada. I went ahead and ordered a couple of extra shims that specifically fit these later 4-valve engines so that I hopefully have all the shims I need, so I don't need to run out to the dealer or jump online and order them. just so I can complete the job. So one common issue with Ducatis are slow labored starts, and I figured I want to fix that issue and fix it at the core, which is the battery cables. They're under-spec'd from the factory. So there's a company called Moto Electric that are making thicker battery cables, just better thought out battery cables with copper wires, and this was like $120, but guess what? It's going to save you a lot in the long term because it's not going to burn out the starter motor or the sprag clutch. So I will be fitting those while everything's taken apart. Here's some new valve cover gaskets I ordered from Ducati. There's 2 of them. It's a good idea to replace those if you're going to be adjusting the valves. Here are the valve cover bolt O-rings. I just like to change these out. They probably don't need it, but might as well. Here are some bolts. The timing belt covers were missing a couple bolts, so I figured I'd replace those while I'm in there. These 2 O-rings you replace when doing the oil change. These go to the oil filter strainer screen. This right here is a new bracket that holds the lower left fairing panel in place. The one on the bike was bent. I could probably bend it back into shape, but I thought I might as well, just for the price these cost, I think it was like 15 bucks, you might as well get one that's properly formed so you know it'll fit up right. Here's a new bar end. It's just a piece of plastic. I think this was only $2 from Ducati, so it's a no-brainer to replace that because the one on the bike, again, is scratched up. Here we have some color-matched touch-up paint for this midnight black metallic paint. So I'm just going to be going around and touching up the little scratches and nicks that are throughout the bike, just so you can see the color. Here it is. So this has got a lot of metallic in it. And, you know, I'll just do my best to try and touch up everything. It's never going to be perfect, but I'm not shooting for perfection on this bike. I never shoot for perfection on any of my vehicles, at least when it comes to cosmetic repairs, because it just doesn't pay. It just doesn't make sense. You want something that you can actually use. You want it to look good, but being perfect is for museums only, and I'm not a museum. Over here we have a new oil filter and a new fuel filter, so I will be taking the fuel tank off, and while I have that out, I'll be pulling the fuel pump out and replacing that fuel filter. Here are the new set of timing belts when we're doing the timing belt job and valve adjustment. Here are the lock nuts for the timing belt tensioner pulleys. It's a good idea to replace these when you're in there. Here's new spark plugs. Actually, I got 2 spark plugs, obviously, but I've actually already installed one because the bike stopped starting. It just wouldn't start, and the problem was one of the plugs was just completely fouled up. It was just too old. So I've already installed one of them, so the bike will actually start. These are new spark plug valve cover seals. Here's a new left foot peg, the front foot peg. So again, the bike was dropped on the left side, and this is one of the pieces that touched the ground a little scraped up. So picked that up, new old stock for only like 20 bucks. The exhaust system has, where the O2 sensors would have been, some rusty bolts inside of there. So I'm going to replace those with these Akrapovic branded O2 sensor plugs. These are pretty nice. I actually pulled these off of my BMW R1200 RT because I had a power commander installed on that. I decided I didn't like the power commander on that bike, so I refitted the O2 sensors. So I have these laying around. I might as well fit them to this bike. And over here we have the cosmetic parts that really help refresh this bike. So here's a replacement tail light. So the one on the bike is cracked. It has a crack in it. Don't know how it happened, but you can pick these up off of salvage bikes. Like this one's in perfect condition. It was like, I think $25. That's a heck of a deal. Might as well swap it out. And then here is the left lower fairing. I bought this on eBay. It came from Ukraine. It was really affordable. It's in great shape, much better shape than the one that's on the bike. I mean, if you want to buy this from Ducati, I don't even think you can buy the paint matched one anymore from Ducati, and it's still like many hundreds of dollars for this panel. So this is an original one in the correct color. It's got some scratches here and there. It's not perfect, but again, it's not warped or melted because it hasn't touched the exhaust unlike the one on my bike. And I think I can touch this up with that touch-up paint and make it look pretty nice. The main part of this is it's not warped, it's not melted, and it doesn't have enormous scratches and scrapes right here like the one on my bike does. So this was shipped like under $80, so that's a heck of a deal. And then there's one more thing, of course. We're replacing all the brake fluid with this Motul 5.1 stuff and the clutch fluid with this as well. So that is all the parts and fluids needed to overhaul this bike and make it a wonderful machine once again that's ready to hit the street and the track. So needless to say, I'm very excited to get going on this project. So that's just an update on the 1198 project. I haven't really been doing much on it, and I apologize for that, but I've been dealing with a BMW wagon that's very needy. We're slowly exiting winter here, so it makes more sense to start tackling a bike so I can actually ride it this spring and summer. So be on the lookout for more videos tackling this bike. Until then, see you guys again next time.